our next speaker, Kemi Oloyede from So London Project. And Kemi, are you here? So Kemi's worked as a teacher for textiles for over 20 years. And since leaving teaching, she launched her own project, So London Project. And it's all about upcycling. Kemi, are you here? There she is. Don't be shy, you come over here. Excellent.
Thank you.
There we are.
The last and not the least. Hi everyone. I'm highly honoured to be here, and it's brilliant that I'm looking at things from a different perspective, because in a previous life I was a teacher for 21 years teaching art and textile technology, and now I'm in that area of sustainability. I use that word with much fear and trembling. So my background is born here, brought up here, had two sets of parents. I had my real parents and I had my foster parents. My foster parents got us when they were quite older, and my foster mum and dad came from that generation of mend and make do. So I totally understood what it was to recycle, to upcycle. To me it was in the days of rag and bone. I know I don't look that age, but there was rag and bone. That's a story for another day. But I found it quite fascinating. And then when I had the opportunity to, well, I joke about this. So when my parents took me back to Nigeria, it is the longest unrecorded Guinness Book of Record holiday. Because they just said, you're going for a holiday. It was a lie. We were there for good. But when I got back there, I found out that fashion took on a completely different life cycle. Everybody wants to look glamorous. I call it the big fat Nigerian parties. You know, everyone has to have something custom made, and it's designer made. And I realized that there were loads and loads and loads of garments being made. Well, what happens to the end of these garments? And I started to think with parents who were very high achievers, and me telling them, I want to be an artist, was like, what disappointment. But when I said to my mum, I've gone to become a teacher, well, we'll manage it, you know. But what I brought out of that, I went into fashion of the view that I was going to upcycle. And no disrespect to any designers, I didn't think I fit into that exclusive part of fashion where you make exclusive garments. I wanted to take the garments that were already made and the fibers that were already made and upcycle them. I wanted to take those things that nobody really wanted, that could have been broken down if they went into landfill, and I thought, what could I turn these into? If they're not easily combustible, how can I take that to the next level? I found out denim was one of the worst culprits, because it uses so much water, and the way how it's dyed and re-dyed, and the harmful effects, I can go on and on about that, but so much has been said previously. And I started to look at how I could take denim and turn that into a resource, how I could turn it into something. And I take great pride that if anyone comes to my studio, my dustbin is zero waste textiles. I take great pride in that. If anything, there's slivers, I turn it into an artwork. Then I started looking at how can I start to work with schools. And I started off a Catch Them Young program. And I knew that if I went into schools and I taught them and gave them resources, how do we work with young people that at an early age, and I remember saying to my students, oh miss, I've got a hole in my socks. And I said, well, those need to be darned. They need to be what? I throw them away and just go to Primani and buy another pair. You know, and I said, listen, guys, I've come from a generation where you mend things, you repair things, you don't just throw away things. And then I set up an after-school club in my school, because I found out that there were students who couldn't go to prom because everybody was going to turn up in a £500 or £1,000 dress, and other children could not afford it, and that really grieved me. And I remember there was one particular child that stood out for me, and for the teachers who are here would totally understand that we do it on the basis, I don't know if it's changed now because I've been out of secondary school for the past 12 years. In terms of teaching. But I remember then we used to do a report, and if you really misbehaved, you ain't going to prom. It's just the way how it is. And this child had ticked all the boxes that year, and she said, miss, I can't go. And I said, why? And she said, miss, can't afford it. And I don't want to turn up like one of the ugly sisters of Cinderella, so I'm not going. And that's when I set up the after-school prom club to make their prom dresses. And I had an intergenerational project. And I knew that there were parents and grandparents who had those skills, and if they didn't, I taught the child alongside the parent to make the prom dresses. And that was what started me sort of gradually working my way out of secondary school, because I wanted more. I just felt I was constrained, and no disrespect to the teachers because they're doing fantastic jobs. But some of us do leave to do other things. And I eventually left, set up the Soul London project in 2012, and we started to reach out into the local community. We started to talk, to have conversations and storytelling about what happens to your garments, what happens to your parents' garments. And I recently lost my mum, and I did this little documentary called My Mother's Trunk Box. And in Africa and in the Caribbean, we have this thing about trunk boxes. It's become almost an Asian thing now, and I think the only time when you see a trunk box in the UK now is if you go to boarding school and you get a little one. But our parents had these massive ones, and we had these conversations around the trunk boxes and what goes into the trunk box and what comes out of the trunk box. And normally if you find a garment that's gone missing, 20 years later, open it up. When I went back last year for the funeral, and I was going through all my mum's things, and we opened up the trunk box, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's a dress you wore on a plane coming to England, and oh my goodness, that's something from the 50s, and it was just amazing opening up all these garments. Am I throwing them away? No, I'm not. I'm cutting up some of the garments, and we're going to make memory blankets. Again, during the pandemic, there was never a time in the UK when we needed sewing skills than that time. So we put away our glad rags, I rolled up my sleeves, and we started to volunteer to sew scrubs for the hospitals, for the NHS. And the moment we came out of that, we had bereavement. So I started reaching out to all the fashion houses and, listen, don't throw it away, give it to us. We'll put it to good use. Give us your dead stock. I can proudly say today, I made this, dead stock. So if someone asks what dead stock is about, it's all that egg production, the 2 rows, 3 rows, little bits and pieces that the fashion industry or manufacturers can't use. And that's how I tend to approach fashion. My advice to everyone here, and to anyone who's taking part in this amazing competition, start doing your research, reach out, start looking into what problem can I solve that I can apply in this competition that will make me tick some of those boxes in terms of sustainability, and how can I also incorporate STEM inside it? Is it plastic? Is it textiles? Whatever it is that you think it's a problem, it's not helping the environment, take that and run with it. Thank you very much.
Kemi,